And joining me now for more analysis is Kevin Daley, Supreme Court reporter for the Daily Caller. Kevin, welcome back to the program.
Good to be with you.
Tomorrow, Justice Kavanaugh will take the bench for his first oral arguments. Do you think now Justice Kavanaugh will really be able to put behind him all of this tumultuous process?
Yeah, that's an interesting question. I think that there's been a lot of discussion about Justice Kavanaugh's temperament in the aftermath of his testimony before the Senate on September 27th. He's a person who had a reputation for dignity, for solemnity, for stateliness when he was on the court on the D.C. Circuit, and I don't think he will have a lot of trouble recovering that reputation once his work begins in earnest as a Supreme Court justice.
Many conservatives say this whole fight hinges on the abortion issue, Roe v. Wade. Obviously, Kavanaugh has received a lot of support from pro-lifers, and therefore there are a lot of people who are in favor of abortion who have been against him throughout this entire process. In your view, what role did the issue of abortion, or how critical was the issue of abortion?
Well, I think abortion politics drive much of our judicial confirmation politics. But what was strange about this was that Judge Kavanaugh is not a person who's really distinguished himself on the abortion issue. He has not had occasion to write about it very much on the D.C. Circuit. In fact, he was involved in just one abortion case in his 12 years as a D.C. Circuit judge. So there was an extent to which all of the attention paid to the abortion issue was a bit unwarranted in light of his record.
What influence do you think Justice Kavanaugh will have long-term on the court and its rulings?
I think that remains to be seen. We know that Judge Kavanaugh is a deeply conservative jurist, but we don't know exactly what sort of jurist he is. We don't know if he is the cautious incrementalist in the vein of Chief Justice John Roberts, we don't know if he's the sweeping, bold dogmatist like Justice Thomas. Much will depend on the answer to that question, where he falls on that spectrum. I think the other immediate effect of his confirmation is the empowerment of Chief Justice John Roberts. Chief Justice Roberts is now the median vote or the swing vote on the Supreme Court, and he also, as Chief Justice, holds the assignment power, the power to assign opinions to his colleagues. So he holds the fifth vote on a range of decisive issues, and he will dictate exactly how far the court is going to move in certain directions. So he is certainly the most powerful Chief Justice now in living memory.
Well, speaking of moving in different directions and how it's sort of perceived, Saturday's vote, of course, was the closest vote, as we mentioned, to confirm a justice since 1881. Do you think the narrow margin of victory is going to affect the people's perception of the court?
Quite possibly. I think I'd say a few things. First, Justice Kavanaugh is one member of a 9-member institution, and it's not quite clear to me how exactly the public's perception of one justice would dilute its perception of the other 8th. He is a member of an institution and needs to be remembered as just one component of the broader court. The second thing I would say is, the court, as has often been said, is kind of immune from the weather of the day, but is not immune from the climate of the era. So though I think in the short and medium term, conservatives have won a significant victory in capturing the court, ideological capture of the court tends not to last very long. The Warren court gave way to the Rehnquist court, would be an example of modern history. The sweeping, bold liberal court gives way to a more cautious conservative court. And I think that though there's a lot of effusiveness and enthusiasm on the right now because of the Kavanaugh confirmation, it's important to remember that the court cannot permanently be a bulwark against popular majorities.
It's fascinating stuff, and so interesting to hear about it from your perspective. Kevin Daley, Supreme Court reporter for the Daily Caller, thanks so much for your analysis.
My pleasure.